Golden Acres Rest Home in Soldiers Grove, Wisconsin. Two young women charged with getting elderly men to spend their Social Security checks on Hanky Panky. When we spoke to the folks involved, there was an innocence about it all. But as the case moved toward court, it took a dramatic turn. Two of the elderly witnesses are dead. Soldiers Grove, a different kind of town in western Wisconsin. Once it was much like the rest of the region, pure American heartland. But 10 years ago, the Kickapoo River rose and washed the town away. It was rebuilt as America's first all-solar community. And it was in this surreal setting that the Golden Acres retirement complex burst into the headlines. A storm over alleged ladies of the evening taking advantage of men in the winters of their lives. The story had kicked up quite a ruckus by the time we sent our producer Ames Yates to investigate. Two sisters, Julie Kelly and Suzanne Burroughs, had been charged. Charges had been dropped against two men, 73-year-old Floyd Sherrick and Herman Clayson, 82. A lot of people in town thought that too much had been made of the whole thing. So what if two old guys wanted to act like young boys?
I don't want this on TV.
You can always leave.
All right, I will leave.
Okay.
Where are you from?
New York.
I don't want to be on.
But Police Chief Jerry Moran was happy to talk. He's the one-man police force in Soldiers Grove, and he led the investigation.
I was first informed of the possibility of prostitution in town back in October, on the 3rd of October in 1990. An elderly gentleman came to my door of my residence, which happens to be real near my office, and told me that there was a possibility of such things going on.
How old were the men?
One of the men was 72, I believe, and the other was 82, possibly 83.
And what did they say was occurring?
They said that they had been paying money for sex.
The two sisters were accused of showing up at the same time the Social Security checks arrived. Abe spoke to one of the sisters in her lawyer's office. Julie Kelly told him something about her life.
Well, I was born and raised in the Kickapoo Valley, and we've always lived out in the sticks and, out in the country.
But her story about Golden Acres was a little different than the one the police chief told.
Well, I met one of the people from Golden Acres, and later he just, I got invited down there to meet a couple of his friends, and just two friends, and
who was this?
Herman and Floyd. They were real nice, and, he said they might need, help getting groceries sometime, and, and if I could help them, that would be good. And, well, Herman bought me a car, and, I had done quite a few things for him, clipped his toenails, and, I was always there on his birthdays, and on Christmas I'd, give him candy, and that's really how the whole thing started, was just like that,
We weren't able to talk to the other defendant, Julie's sister, Suzanne. She was dancing at a place in Michigan called the Pussycat Theater. But Ames did find their mother. She blamed the police chief, saying he was out to get her daughters.
For one reason, I think Jerry Moran is a and I think that he wanted to go out with my daughters because they're both beautiful, and he couldn't make no time with them.
The chief said that was nonsense. Ames also went to Golden Acres, and he found the two Golden Agers who found themselves in the middle of a young folks scandal. Herman Clayson was outside.
Are they nice girls?
They seem like nice girls. Nice to visit with. Everything.
Did you have a good time making love with them?
Oh, just regular, but could be. I don't know. I've never had it with anybody else, so.
That was your first love of your life?
Yep.
How old were you when you made love to her?
Well, let's see. I'm 81, about 80 years old.
How much was she charging you?
$100.
$100 each time?
Yeah.
So how much money did you give her?
I don't know how much I gave her.
Ames even asked him the $64,000 question.
Yeah, it was good.
Floyd invited us into his home.
They charge too damn much, that's true enough.
As we moved on to prepare the story, we left Floyd adding up all his remaining money.
Well, I was glad to get rid of them. I tried to get rid of them. Kept telling them to stay away. It didn't do no good. They kept coming.
And Herman was left with no regrets. He was sitting at home at Golden Acres thinking about the good times. He said he especially missed Julie.
Yeah, I had a good time with her. I liked her. I wouldn't ask her to marry me. She said, That's just the way she said it,
The trial of the two women began today. We were set to run the story yesterday. But then we got some very sad news that changed everything. Floyd passed away earlier in the week. He had a history of medical problems. The police chief said no foul play was suspected. And then we heard other news about another death. A man named John Watson died Friday. He was 71.
The police had approached Mr. Watson and asked him to go undercover and get to know each of my clients personally, invite them to his residence, and try to determine whether or not he could get either or both of my clients to offer sex for money. Mr. Watson discovered that the entire matter was basically a sham, that it was that they were trying to frame my clients.
That's the women's lawyer, John Brinkman. When we spoke to him last night, he said he was stunned by the bizarre turn of events.
That was very much of a surprise to me because he was a very important witness in our case.
He gave his explanation of why his clients were spending so much time with the old man.
They have decided to help out elderly people, and each of them, and it's not just men, they have been helping out elderly women also.
And the women's attorney came back to a point many people are still wondering. Was it necessary to put Herman Floyd and John through the legal ringer?
Given the physical condition of both Mr. Watson and Mr. Sherricks, and also given the pressures of the trial coming up and their age, I could not rule out that the pressures of the trial may have had something to do with the timing of their death.
This morning, a judge refused to throw out the case because there is still one witness who said he paid money to spend time with the sisters, 82-year-old Herman Clayson. Poor old Floyd and John. We'll let you know how that case winds up.
Now,